What's up, y'all? It is Kiara the Woman, and welcome to another affair of a Single Mother Success podcast where we discuss all things womanhood and provide weekly doses of self love, empowerment, and insight to the mental and spiritual being of you as a woman, no matter where you are in your womanhood journey. Hello, ladies. A warm welcome to all of the wonderful women who are under the sound of my voice. I hope your week has been as wonderful as you are, as amazing as you are, as stunning as you are. I hope that for all of us. And this week's episode, honestly, is a follow up to last week's episode. And the reason why I wanted to do this episode after the previous one is because I wanted to implement a little balance to what the last episode was about, which was about setting the foundation for our babies' brains and how they have brand new brains and how we're responsible for their development and how they develop and things like that. So, and I also don't want to create this narrative of a perfect mom or a mom that has it together, or have this narrative out here that mothers who are doing these things, or you know who are just, anyways, let me just get to the point. So with all that I said in last week's episode, there is still another side to it, and the other side of it is genetics and makeup and things of that nature. So I know that for me and with my son, I know he has my genes and I know he has genes from the other side, right? So I know that with everything that I'm doing for him, the work that I'm putting in, it's not to say that it's going to completely like banish his genetic makeup or change his genetic makeup or stop him from doing or feeling or behaving in a way that may be in him genetically. It's only to establish, because I believe personally that even though we have genes, we choose which ones we want to water. We choose which ones we want to flourish. And I personally think that, which is why I am the way that I am with my son, because I know what my genes are and I know what the other side, I know what the genes are like on the other side. So to, I don't even want to say the word combat. I don't even want to say to combat the genes or whatever, but to establish, I just feel like I'm doing my part as a mother, and I'm doing my part with the knowledge that I have. If I set this foundation up for my child before he even realizes, it's just, I think the last episode was about being proactive, to say the least. It was about being proactive. Nevertheless, we are as parents shepherds. We are as parents here to guide our children through their experience. Now, the reason why I'm so adamant about everything in last week's episode is because they still just got here. They're still brand new here and they're still trying to figure out how to maneuver through the different experiences that they're having on a daily basis. So I still think that by establishing the decrees and declarations, you're setting the foundation for them, so when they do have these experiences, they have something to hold on to look to remember to stand on while you are helping them navigate through whatever experience they're having. And I don't want, or what I want women, mothers, caregivers in general, what I want you all to take from last week's episode is just setting the foundation. This doesn't mean that just because you set this foundation that your child is going to be this magnificent person who never makes a mistake, because they're still human, and they're still learning, they're still, like I said, going through their own experience. It's just setting the foundation. Like everything that I'm teaching my child and everything that he knows, and what I think by the foundation that I've instilled in him. Sometimes when he does things, I'm like, bro, I feel like you should know better because you're pretty smart. But I also have to remember that he's only 4. So the work that we put in on our baby's brains is literally, to me personally, it's just doing your part. It's just like I will never be able to say that I didn't do the best that I could as a mother, because I've been doing my best. In my opinion, this is, in my opinion, the best mother. For me to say that I'm a good mom and I'm the best mother for my child, that means setting a foundation like the one I explained in last week's episode. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I just wanted to make sure that even though my mom awarded me with the Tiger Mom title, that's cool and all, but I'm still sensitive to him, and I'm still understanding, and I still know that he's going through his own experiences in life. And so yeah, when it comes to his genes, I do think and I do feel that I'm choosing which ones that get watered. Even the genes that come from me, I know that I am not this perfect person who has this perfect genetic makeup that's super flawless. Not that person. So I know that when I see certain things come up in my son, I correct it immediately, and I just say, okay, I guide him. Like, okay, we're not going to do that. We're not going to respond this way. We're going to respond that way. We're going to say this instead of that. We're going to do this. So it's just training him up in the way that I feel like he should go. So, yeah. Anyways, though, this week's topic, obviously, as I've already stated in the intro, is just about being a shepherd to our babies, simply because, like I said, I wanted to follow up after last week's episode, just so I feel like I have to provide clarity, and you guys know that after 9 episodes, I feel like you all should know that I love to provide clarity when I am on this microphone and creating these episodes for you all. So yeah, just when it comes to motherhood, for me personally, and being a shepherd, after laying the foundation, is literally just sitting back and letting your child explore and make the mistakes and try new things and do this and do that. And when they look to you for help, that's when you help. I'm not one of the shepherds that, since that's the topic, but I'm not one of the parents that go and immediately tries to help my child do something. Like, if he wants to do something, let's say, okay, perfect example, when we went to the park in the summer, this was before I think he was about 3 years old when we went to the park. And he wanted to play on the big kids playground. I'm like, okay, I'm never gonna tell my child that he can't do something, or you're too small, or you're too little, or anything like that. Like I said in last week's episode, we can't stun our kids' growth by telling them they can't do something. It meant, like, the words that I use with my son is, it's not time for that yet, or let's wait for that one, or let's try that one another time, or let's wait until we get a little bigger, a little taller, a little stronger before we try that one, instead of telling our kids that they can't do something. Because I tell my son that can't is a bad word and we don't use it. It's we're not gonna say can't be, that's like a curse word in our house. So but yeah, I'll show, or we were at the park and he was starting to try and do the little things that stand up from, like, you have one part of the what is it, the it's not a jungle gym, it's the thing where the slide is, you go up the steps and that there's that platform, and then it's either a bridge to get across to the other side, or there's like a balancing beam to get across from the other side. Well, this one had like little, like, you step on it, they're like little circles, tall circles that you can hold, like, they have handles, and then there's this circle platform that you can stand on and walk around to get to the next one that may be a little higher or a little lower. So he started to do that, and I'm standing there and I'm looking at him and he's looking at me, and I'm like, do it. You had the courage to start to do it. So if anything, I'm right here. I'm gonna catch you. So do it. And he took the first step and he did it, and I'm like, that's good. I encouraged him. Good job, you did it. Now let's finish. Because something I also teach my son at an early age is, when we start something, we finish it. Fear does not exist, and we can finish whatever we start. So he got around to the other side, and he seen that this step was higher. So he looks at me and I'm like, what are we gonna do? We gotta make it across. We can't go back. We gotta make it across. So I take his hand and I'm like, come on, like, I guide him again, shepherd. I guide him across and I'm like, step up. And he steps up and I'm like, now pull yourself up. He's holding on to my finger because to me, start using your limbs, start using the little strength that you do have to start, making things happen on your own, because you have the ability to. So if you can pull yourself up on the bed, you can pull yourself up on the stools at home, you can climb up on the chairs at home. This is the same thing. Use your strength. So he's holding my finger, and I tell him step up, and he steps up, and again I reward him, not reward him, but I encourage him, and I'm like, you did it, great job, this and that, right? He gets to the next one and it's like way lower, and he's looking at me. I'm like, we just have to adjust again, just adjust. So this time I'm like just guiding him, face this way, and maybe step to the side, and maybe you'll have a little more balance, that way you can hold on. So now he looks like Patrick Star. He has like a hand and a foot on one, and then a hand and a foot on the other, and he's looking at me. He's getting nervous because I think he's thinking he's going to fall, and I'm like, just trust yourself, bro. I'm right here if you fall, but you can't, you have to make it across. You can't stay like that. So I again take his hand, I extend my finger out to him so he could grab it, and I'm like, now you have to move your foot to the other side. You have to come on across. He comes across, and he makes it, and I'm like, again, good job, this and that. You did it. Never fear anything, and go ahead and finish, because I think it was only like four of them. I apologize if I only said three, but yeah. So he makes it all the way across, and he's like, I did it. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm like, well, I think we can do it again, but we don't have to right now. So he continues to play, and he goes back on the other side, and I guess he's ready to do it now. So long story short, we do it over and over until he's comfortable with doing it by himself. And that's at 3 years old, and I said that story to say that we like don't handicap your kids. Don't I only extend my help if my son looks back and I see that he doesn't feel all too confident in the next step that he's gonna make. Then I offer my assistance. But another time he started climbing the little rock wall that was there, and I didn't say anything. I just let him do it. And when he did it, he looked back at me. I'm like, "You did." So all in all, I think that we are here to be shepherds for our baby, and we are here to guide them through the experience. And last week's episode was basically about, doing our part as mothers. And if we're intentional about changing the next generation, and having our kids be different than how we were, and being different parents than how our parents were, then I personally think that literally starts at the seed. But nevertheless, we still have to consider the genetic makeup of our babies, the habits that they may pick up from us, things like that. So, um, even with setting the foundation and providing the tips and tools and the declarations and the decrees, we still have to step back and allow them to experience life and implement the things that we teach them at the early age, and constantly remind them of the decrees and the declarations. There's been so many times where I've had to remind my son that you are great. You are brilliant. You don't need anybody's permission. You're great. You're good. You can do that. You can do anything. You're strong. You're tough. You're brave. It's always a constant reminder, but even with reminding them, at least he knows his foundation is that. His foundation is that I'm brave. And I think as adults, we even forget how brave we are. We even forget how brilliant we are. We forget how bold we can be. We forget those things, even though we've learned through our experiences, maybe not through our foundation, but we've learned through our experiences that we are pretty bold. We are pretty badass. We are pretty, especially as women. Like, come on, sweetheart. Like, you delivered a whole baby. You brought a whole another human being into the physical realm. You are a badass. Like, you are literally, women should feel unstoppable by all of the stuff that we could do, but sometimes we still need that reminder, and sometimes we have to be the ones to remind ourselves, or sometimes we have to catch an episode of a single mother success podcast to remind us of how brilliant and how great and how wonderful we are. And it's the same thing for our babies. So even with all of the foundations and gems and jewels that I dropped last week on last week's episode, I did this episode to create a balance, to create the space of knowing that you can do all of this, mom. You can do all of this, mommy. You can do all this, mama. And you can, you still, that's not where the work stops. You still have to be a shepherd to your baby and guide them and remind them of the foundation that you've instilled in them, guide them and remind them of the things. I just repeated myself, the things and tools you have equipped them with. So yeah, and I want all of the women and caregivers who are listening to this to walk away knowing that, I can put in this work and it can change my kid's life for the better. He or she could be, I can, this is a way for me to start my child's life off completely different than the way that mine started. Like, my son has so much self-esteem. Like, we're still working on the confidence, boy. Like, but he knows he's handsome, he knows he's good looking, he's such a charmer because we tell him these things. Confidence we're still working on because because he was homeschooled, and because the first part of his life and my life was a little tough, and we are coming out of some things. His confidence is what we're working on, but his foundation and his affirmations say that he's confident, he's worthy, I affirm him daily. So i'm not I'm not anticipating a tough build when it comes to his confidence. I know it'll come, the older he gets and the more things that he gets into and the more he starts to discover himself. So yeah, that's all. I just wanted to create a balance for last week's episode, so that way it's not like, oh, she's a military mom, and like I said, my mom thinks I'm a tiger mom. She doesn't acknowledge this side of it though. So, and I think she thinks, your parents, they turn into grandmothers, and all of a sudden they got Chick-fil-A money. But when I was the child, it was, do you got McDonald's money? And I'm like, bro, I don't even work. You work. That's why I'm asking you. Like, if I had the money, I would just ask you to take me and I will pay for it. But when they become grandmothers, it's like, you don't discipline the child. Like, what? Excuse me? My mom said something about me putting my child in the corner because he had a bad day at school. I'm like, would you have rather me used one of your methods to discipline? And she made that little face, and I was like, oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure. So, but yeah, y'all, that's all. I just wanted to, again, I'm repeating myself at this point and rambling. Just set the tone and create a balance between, because motherhood can already be tough. It's already like, a little tough. So I wanted to create this episode to create a balance and to ensure and know that motherhood doesn't have to be tough. We really just have to roll with the punches and make sure we're taking care of ourselves as women and making sure we're doing our part and the best that we could do in raising our babies. So we are going to go ahead and wrap this episode up and get into our last 10 minutes of the episode, where I pull from the self-love deck. Shout out to the Tonight's Conversation podcast. Shout out to Ace Metaphor. And this card reads today. This card says, when are you most happiest, and how can you live in more of those moments from now on? When are you most happy? And how can you live in more of those moments from now on? So I'm the happiest, honestly, when I'm serving my clients in real estate and I'm helping our people get into home ownership. That's when I'm happy. I'm happy when I'm spending time with my son and being a mother to him. I'm happy when I'm baking. I'm happy when I'm just chilling. I'm kind of like always happy, simply because I just make that choice to be. And the second part is, how can you live in more of those moments from now on? I think that I just need to get more investment properties. I need to hold more properties than I sell. I need to get me a couple more properties to hold on to create that passive income, so that way I can start exploring other hobbies and also get back into some old ones that brought me happiness, like yoga and pottery. I miss doing those things, and I know that once I'm able to get my real estate business up and running, not even up and running because it's up and running. However, when I don't have to be so hands on and so involved, that's when I know I'll be able to live more in those moments. So, yeah, we have some things coming soon at the Grace Gallery of Luxury. We have some developments coming soon. So, we are going to start living in more of those moments very soon. So, the call to action this week, I honestly don't really have one, simply because this was a balancing episode, not really an episode that was a call to action, but maybe I'll just say the call to action is just to affirm yourself as a mother, create your own affirmations, and know that you're doing the best that you can as a mother if that's what you think that you're doing. If you think that you're doing the best, then say you're doing the best. If you think that you can do better, write down the ways that you think you could do better and start implementing them. But this is not even and this is a judgment free zone, and however you parent is literally however you parent. I'm only on here talking about how I do motherhood. That's literally it. It's not to tell other mothers how they need to do it or what they need to do. Is literally just sharing my own motherhood experience with you all. So, yeah, I don't really have a call to action. So, in the Facebook group, of course, let me know what you learned from this episode and last week's episode. I don't think I said it last week in the ending, but just continue the conversation in the Facebook group and answer our card from the tonight's conversation self-love deck. When are you most happy, and how can you live in more of those moments from now on? So, yeah, that is it for this week. Be sure to share this podcast with another woman. Share it to your own platform so the women that you don't have in your contacts can see it, and they can share this with a mother that you think is being too hard on herself, and that way the pressure can be taken off of her, because she can maybe kind of understand that we are just the shepherds. God blessed us with our babies to help bring them up in the way that they should go, lead and guide them through their experience here in the physical realm. And yeah, so share this with a mother who, thinks that, because that's literally something I had to tell myself. And I learned that from, I think it was a psychologist that said that. He had a doctor's degree, so he had a PhD. So I'm assuming he knew a little bit of what he was talking about. So, and when I heard it, it took some pressure off of me, because I'm usually always hard on myself. So, share this with a mother who is thinking that she's hard on herself, or that she's not doing her part as a mother. And yeah, just let her know that, baby, you just a shepherd. All you got to do is do your part, set the foundation, let them, give them something to hold on to when life gets real for them. The older they get and the more aware they become, just make sure they have a foundation to hold on to and to come back to and stand on, so they can take and face anything in this world without crumbling or without going into depression. And even if they do crumble or go into depression, you are here to guide them and remind them, of the foundation that you set before them for them to stand on. You are here to remind them of those things and guide them through their experience. So, yeah, that is all that I have for you, ladies. I truly, truly appreciate you all for listening and joining me as I give you all this episode, and take care of yourself, love yourself, congratulate yourself, honor yourself in so many ways because you deserve it. Oh, I didn't do toast to you, but toast to all the women who are listening to this. That's who the toast goes to. Toast to you for listening, and toast to you for being the change you want to see in your family and in our generation and in our community. So yeah, toast to you, mamas. And yeah, the credits are rolling now. Thank you all for joining me this week on another affair of a Single Mother Success podcast. The links to all of our info will be in the description of this pod and any other pod streaming service that you're listening to. It will be available in the description below. Remember to join the Facebook group, the private Facebook group, if you are a listener, and if you are a subscriber, go in there. There's a community there for you, community of women, and yeah, join the Facebook group. Subscribe. Oh yeah, subscribe to our weekly newsletter. That comes out on Sundays at 10 a.m. and it's called Real Success Through Perseverance, Letters of Legacy. So it's just, like I said, a newsletter, and it gives you a weekly affirmation and a weekly scripture and a video to carry you throughout the week until we meet on the podcast on Thursday. So yeah, stay engaged, interact with us, follow us on Instagram, and when you get in the Facebook group, introduce yourself. But yeah, I just want to thank you all for listening to another episode and interacting with us and joining us this week. Going forward throughout this week, remember to take care of yourself, ladies. Love yourself, forgive yourself, and celebrate yourself on the daily, on the hourly, on the minutely, on the secondly, baby. And remember, toast to yourself, even if you by yourself. Just because you by yourself don't mean you alone, and just because you alone don't mean that you lonely. Love your company, and love to spend time with yourself, because at the end, ourself is all we have. So take care of yourself, and I will see y'all next week.